Now, there is nothing more frustrating than repeating yourself over and over and over when we know our dogs just aren't paying attention to us. They might see that squirrel or that dog across the street, or they might be sniffing the ground looking for a place to pee, but for some reason we just can't get through to them. In dog training, it's important that we develop what are called nonverbal cues. One of these nonverbal cues is known as a tactile cue. Tactile means to touch. So anytime that we touch our dogs with our hands, our body, with their leash, this is all giving our dog nonverbal information. Now, if you've spent time around dogs long enough, you know that dogs don't really talk a lot. So they're not really primed to understand extensive verbal language. Learning how to use tactile cues is going to be super important for making sure that you have very clear and concise communication with your dog. I hope that this demonstration is helpful. Check it out. So the main tactile cues that we're gonna go over today is teaching you guys how to reposition your dog when they're on a 6-foot leash. This is our friend Loki. He's a 4-month-old Bernedoodle. Loki has been trained that if I walk backwards, he should follow me. So if I walk backwards and I put a little bit of pressure on that leash, he should come in the direction that I'm walking. So if I take Loki and I pull him laterally, notice he moves laterally. Right? If I pull him towards me, notice he comes towards me. If I pull him in front of me, notice he goes in front of me. This level of cooperation on the leash is going to be really important when trying to prompt the dog to travel in different directions. So a couple scenarios that we might need to use directional pulls on the leash are going to be in situations where our dogs veer off and go in different directions. So let's say my dog is eating something and I need him to come along. Loki, I'm going to pull on him a little bit. As I pull, the dog should come in my direction. Now, dogs who don't have good practice with this skill or not using the proper training tools, this might turn into a game of tug of war where you're fighting the dog instead of prompting the dog to follow you. If my dog is standing on all fours and I pull gently upwards on the leash, notice how his butt hits the ground? Let's do that a couple more times, make sure it wasn't a fluke. Come here. I pull straight up. Perfect. Now on that same note, if I pull straight down, my dog goes down. If I pull back up, come on. That means to pop back up into your sit. So these different directional cues, both pulling upward and pulling downward, are easy ways for me to prompt any position that I desire. Because our dogs are already primed to follow the different directionalities of the leash, it's as simple as grabbing my leash short and pulling my dog in the direction where I'd like him to go. He spins around and he gets food right at our side. Now, if I want the dog to move forward, I'll do the exact same thing, but in reverse. The key is when I pull the leash, make sure that the leash pull is parallel to the floor, just like this. Not being parallel to the floor would mean pulling upward or pulling too far downward. So just as we did in visual cues, we're gonna go over how to stabilize a position with your dog, this time using your leash. Now this exercise is called the friendly stranger exercise. We've actually invited Loki's trainer, his name's Brennan, and he's gonna be joining us for this exercise. So I'm gonna go ahead and put Loki into a sit position, and what we're gonna do is stabilize this position using our leash. Now this means if my dog maintains the position, I can continue to reinforce him with food as long as he holds position. But if for any reason he decides to break position, I can prompt him back into a sit simply by pulling up on the leash. Hi, what's up, little puppy? Good boy. Hey, what's up, puppy? Good boy. So now that Loki is making better decisions around a distraction, he's getting a lot more reinforcement. As we said in the last video, strengthening the stability of any position is going to make your obedience commands a lot more functional in real life. This time we might use something like a toy or a little bit more excitement to really make sure that Loki understands he should stay in the down position. Hey, what's up, buddy? So he made a mistake, so I'm going to prompt him back into a sit and guide him back down into a down position, and we just reset the whole scenario again. Hi, little man. He made half of a mistake, so I'm just gonna prompt him back down into the down position. Again. What's up, little puppy? Hi, buddy. That time he nailed it, even with the higher level distraction of the toy. So this is how we build resilience in dogs and strengthen their abilities to make decisions around distractions. Now, one of the advantages of using tactile cues is we can also use tactile cues to grab our dog's attention or tell them that they shouldn't pass certain limits on the leash. Now, the basic limit of the leash is gonna be the length that I give them. So a real simple rule in leash training is gonna be don't allow my dogs to pull not even an inch. So in this demonstration, what we're gonna go over are gonna be different ways that we can use the leash to communicate what we want from our dogs in regards to setting limits and boundaries with them. So in this scenario, I'm gonna go ahead and walk by Brennan. The dog might be tempted to go walk towards Brennan, but my job is to keep my dog walking with me. So the key to this exercise is that if the dog gets distracted while I'm walking, my job is to put consistent pressure until the dog comes along. Now this is a technique to use the leash to redirect our dog's attention. The key is you have to keep consistent pressure and you have to keep walking in the direction you would like the dog to follow. In this second technique, the goal is also to maintain a loose leash. However, when I decide to pull on the leash, it's gonna be very quick and sudden. We call this a pop. Come on. And pop, good boy. Now the intention behind this technique is to surprise the dog. If we do it correctly, we should be able to hijack the dog's attention when necessary. So a big takeaway for tactile cues, this is our way that we can show our dogs or make our dogs do the things that we require them to do. Tactile cues are one of the most direct forms of communication that we can give our dogs and are super important to develop so that way we can teach our dogs things like patience and impulse control. Now remember, tactile cues are just one of 3 different forms of communication that we give dogs. So make sure that you watch some of the other videos here so you have a complete understanding of how humans can communicate with their dogs. Again, my name is Brent with Canis Behavior, and we'll see you guys in the next video.